Hey guys, this is Brittany from NotYourAverageFox.com, and today I'm going to be sharing a positive induction birth story. This birth story is the story of my firstborn son named Wyatt. He is turning 5 today, and just as I done last year for my daughter's second birthday, I shared her birth story with you all. I'll link it up in the cards if you're interested, but it was a pain-free or almost pain-free delivery, so if you want to check that out, you can. But today's story is Wyatt's, and his was a little bit different. I did not go into labor on my own with him. I read a lot of horror birth stories, and I was just beyond terrified in itself. But I just want to put this story out there to tell you guys, if you have to have an induction, or if you choose to have induction for whatever reason, they all aren't scary. They all don't turn out horrible, and sometimes they turn out just as you'd hope they would anyway. So we'll go ahead and start from the beginning with my pregnancy. If you guys don't know, I got married at a very young age. I was 18 when I got married, 3 months out of high school. The plan was for me to go to college and then have children sometime along the line. But surprise, surprise, I got my positive pregnancy test result a month after we got married in September. The day that I found out I was pregnant, I was sitting in math class in college, and I just had this weird feeling that I might be pregnant. No other reasons to make me think that way. I thought that I might be pregnant. So after class, I stopped by Walmart. I got a first response early result pregnancy test, and I got home as quickly as I could to take that test. And when those 2 lines showed up bright pink positive, I was over the moon excited. I can't describe what was going through my head at that time other than just pure gratefulness and just excitement all in itself. My pregnancy was pretty good, but it wasn't exactly by the book. So I didn't have any nausea, no morning sickness, my breasts weren't sore, none of that. The only actual symptoms I had during my first trimester was that I had some slight cramping in my upper thigh area, and then I was also pretty tired. So that was about it. About midway through my second trimester, I was measuring large on my stomach. So I actually measured, I think it was a month ahead for a good portion of my pregnancy, and the reasoning for that is because I had extra amniotic fluid, but all of that ended up resolving itself. I also had really bad sciatica problems, so that wasn't fun. I had this horrible pain radiated from my lower back all the way down my left leg into my toes. That lasted until I gave birth. So other than that, no complications. Everything went really well during my pregnancy, as good as I'd hoped that it would anyway. As a first-time mom, like many, I didn't give birth before my due date, so I was 40 weeks pregnant, and I had no signs that labor was coming. I was about 1 to 2 centimeters dilated, but my doctor said that my cervix wasn't near ripe enough that it needed to be, so he suggested that we be induced, and then he wanted me to go in the hospital the night before delivery, and they was going to insert a pill into my cervix. I think it's called Cervidil or something similar to that, and it just ripens your cervix and makes it more favorable, so hopefully your labor will progress nicely that way. But the day before my induction, I had an appointment at my OB, and my cervix magically was ripened enough apparently, so I didn't have to do that. Thankfully, I was not looking forward to that at all. So the night before my induction, I decided that I was going to start walking. So I walked up and down our driveway for a long amount of time. I was thinking, man, if I could just kickstart this labor, that'd be real nice if I didn't have to be induced. But none of that worked. So went to bed that night knowing that tomorrow was going to be baby day, and that was that. We arrived at the hospital at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time the morning of my induction. I was really excited and surprised to find out just how quickly they got me into a room. So they got me into a room, I got into a gown, and then they got the contraction and heartbeat monitor on me almost immediately. So this was moving really fast, or so I thought. My husband was filling out some paperwork, and I was just kind of sitting there chilling. About an hour or so after I arrived, the OB came in, and he checked me for dilation, and I was 2 centimeters, so no real change at all from my last appointment, which was okay. He decided to go ahead and break my water to hopefully get things moving along. I was having some consistent contractions 5 to 6 minutes apart. I was not feeling the contractions, but he was hoping that by breaking my water it would smooth things along a lot more than they were doing originally. So about 11:30 a.m. they decided to go ahead and start PITOCIN, because although I was having contractions, I wasn't feeling them. So they did want to move things along, and they went ahead and started the PITOCIN. They put it on a low dose, and I didn't really feel anything. We just kind of hung out there as a family, me and my husband. Around 1 o'clock p.m. I began to feel a little bit uncomfortable. The pain was still very bearable. It was nothing like excruciating or anything. My husband's parents were in the room. They came to visit. They were so sweet. They brought me flowers and the baby some gifts. And I continued having contractions. At around 3 p.m. I noticed my contractions becoming a lot worse. The pain started increasing a lot. I no longer wanted visitors in the room. That's when my OB came in and he asked if I wanted an epidural. He said that if I wanted one now, then I better get one, because he was about to go deliver a baby by C-section, and that I wouldn't be able to get one until he got back. Me being my stubborn self, I wanted to avoid the epidural just as long as I could. So I declined that, and then I continued to suffer in pain for an extended amount of time. My contractions really picked up at 3:45 p.m. I was really nauseous. I was throwing up. I was super hot. I just remember Cody fanning me the whole time with a folder or some kind of thick piece of paper. It was awful. It was miserable, and I don't remember a whole lot during that time. I do remember my OB eventually coming back in, and I asked if he could check me, because I thought, Lord, I have to be at least 8 centimeters, because I'm in so much pain, and if I'm at 8 centimeters, there's no point in me getting an epidural if I'm about to have this baby. So he went ahead and checked me, said I was between a 4 and a 5 centimeters, and I was like, oh crap, I am only halfway there. So I did agree to the epidural at that point. Once I received the epidural, it did take a while to kick in. I remember when I got it, I was thanking the anesthesiologist over and over again. I think I thanked him probably like 10 times, just because I was so happy to finally be getting some relief. Took a while to kick in, but once it did, I couldn't feel anything. Felt absolutely nothing. It was wonderful, wonderful sense of relief after being in so much pain, so that was good. At 7 p.m. I was finally 10 centimeters and ready to push. The nurse brought in a mirror. She asked if I wanted to watch my baby being born, and I was so excited about that because thought that was awesome. And so I watched while I was pushing. I could see his head popping in and out, so that was really interesting to see. I felt no pain whatsoever by pushing, and then on the last push, Wyatt came out. He came out peeing all over the place. We all thought that was funny. I remember us all talking about his toes, how long his feet were, and joking that he must have got that from me. And I would say that he did. He still has those long toes today. But it was just a wonderful experience being able to watch him being born through that mirror. I didn't get that experience with my daughter. I wasn't thinking about it, I guess, during that time, and they didn't ask. So I ended up with an episiotomy and a 4th degree tear, but other than that, everything went wonderful. My doctor stitched me up. He did an excellent job with that. I had no complications from that. It was a good induction. May not have been a natural birth story like my daughter, but it was still beautiful in its own way, and I treasure it just as much with Wyatt as I did with Ren's birth story. Wyatt was born on May 22nd, 2015 at 7:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He weighed 8 pounds, 7 1/4 ounces, and was 21 inches long. He is still my long, skinny guy today, although he's a lot bigger than 7 pounds, 8 ounces. But I love my little feller. He's a fortnight-loving little guy, and I'm just so happy that he's such a good human being. I couldn't be more proud of him, and I can't believe that he has turned 5. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this birth story. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you are planning on having an induction anytime soon, or think that you may have to go that route, I just want you to know that You don't have to be scared. It's nothing to be terrified of. And hopefully it goes just as good as it possibly can be. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.